Turkey and Syria tonight from three angles. Newzroom Africa's Ahmed Kajee is live for us in Adana in Turkey. Enis Aydin comes to us from Istanbul, also in Turkey, while Azhar Vadi is live for us from the Syrian border. We'll go first now to Ahmed Kajee. Ahmed, you've just arrived at the local airport there. Tell us about what you've seen so far.
Thanks very much, Tembekile. We had arrived in Istanbul airport this morning. After a few delays, unfortunately due to logistical reasons, we have now landed now in the Adana airport, which is about 1,000 kilometers away from Istanbul, southwest from Istanbul as well. Many of the operations will be carrying on from here to different parts of Turkey. Just speaking to what we are seeing over here, we have search and rescue officials coming through from China and various other humanitarian organizations as well. You will see many of the visuals speaking towards that. And this just goes to show the thousands of rescue workers who are coming on the ground. As of yesterday, there were about 116,000 different volunteers on the ground. That obviously has increased significantly as more aid is not just coming through to the Turkey area, but also towards Syria as well. As you have mentioned, the death toll has now surpassed the 11,000 mark. Just to maybe take that into consideration, when we had found the news breaking on a Monday morning, it was sitting at 600. So just over the course of 48 hours, that has exponentially increased all the way up to 11,000 and probably will be increasing as well. But I'm going to bring you to the conversation Qasim Borat from the Gift of the Givers. He's been one of the leading operations managers over here. Qasim, thanks very much for your time today. Unfortunately, quite a few delays that we had seen over the last 24 hours or so. What can we expect in the next, probably next 12 to 24 hours going forward?
So I think, we're privileged to be here. I think I've been on previous missions with Gift of the Givers. And to reach this stage, it's 24 hours since we left South Africa, so it's 24 hours of traveling, and everyone's quite tired, but I think we've come quite far. We're now in Adana, which is the main coordination point for AFAD, which is the national Turkish agency that coordinates all the relief efforts. So this is their main desk. Once we get in touch with them now, they're going to deploy us to a certain area. I think they were talking of Adiamani, but we don't know yet. So once we collect all our luggage, which you can see is quite considerable, and our kit and our search and rescue items, we'll be able to then determine what's going to be happening in the next 24 hours. Hopefully we'll be reaching the areas of need and getting our teams into action.
In terms of the logistics, it must have been really difficult to get all your equipment over here. Can you just take us through that relationship with the Turkish government, with the Turkish airport authorities?
Yeah, no, I think, hats off to the Turkish government, the Turkish ambassador in South Africa, Dr. Suleiman, because the coordination from their side was excellent. I think this mission has gone as smoothly as it can so far. So from the Turkish airline with our check-ins and allowing us the cargo, when we arrived in Istanbul, yes, we had the issue with the release of the cargo, but that's fine. Thereafter, I mean, you experienced it yourself. The Turkish people are so welcoming. They're so appreciative that we're here, that they're actually going through additional steps just to make sure we can get from point A to point B much quicker. So, I mean, if people are stopping us and thanking us, the airlines, every time you take off and land, the pilots are announcing thank you to the teams that are coming. So there's a real warm welcoming from everyone, and we really appreciate that.
Qasim Borat, thanks very much for your time. We'll be in touch with you a bit later on as operations continue. That's Qasim Borat from the Gift of the Givers organization, which is going to be delivering humanitarian aid as well. A few of the K9 units have also made their way through into this organization, and many of these other units will be continuing as well. As you see, there is a significant amount of specialized equipment coming through from different organizations around the world, Tembekile, and this just goes to show that many people are going to be coming through. So hopefully the government will then be able to take care of those thousands, those tens of thousands now who have passed away, the hundreds of thousands who have been displaced, and many of these will obviously be continuing to be dealt with by the government as well as other non-profit organizations as well. Tembekile.
Ahmed Kajee live for us at the Adana airport in Turkey, where he's traveling with a team from the Gift of the Givers. Let's stay in Turkey and speak to Enis Aydin, a journalist based in Istanbul. Enis, a very good evening to you. Grateful for your time. How is the government response to this tragedy going 3 days on?
Currently, thank you, by the way. It's good to have me in your show. Currently, the number of the killed announced by the government has passed 9,000, and approximately there is at least 53,000 injured. That means it has tripled in 24 hours in the last 24 hours and feared to rise in the following hours. The average warmth in the region in the nights right now reaches the -10 degree, which experts fear hypothermia also could hit the ones under the rubbles and the wrecks. Right now, to explain the situation and to explain the extent of this, like an earthquake, on the simulations of search and rescue, basic plan would be to assign the rescue teams of the neighboring cities of where quake hits. But this double earthquake, please make no mistake, the second one was not an aftershock. It was an independent quake, which was 7.7 magnitude hits 20 hours later. So this double earthquake has hit an area almost as big as Greece. This is not the first time that an earthquake of this extent takes place in Turkey. In 1999, an earthquake in the western region of Turkey took place and crippled the country for weeks. Thousands dead, tens of thousands of buildings either wrecked or damaged, and the communication with the West and Ankara has cut off. And after 25 years, we see that actually no progress has been taken. It is not only the earthquake that hits millions right now, it is negligence of authorities to approve the illegal construction plans of the flatten the buildings now, to close ear to the experts who have been crying for urban transformation and precaution here. Right now, aides from Western Turkey are flocking to quake area. This is one of the biggest mobilization in country's history since independence war, maybe, that every single person is taking part. Journalists, academics, experts in here are not only reporting or analyzing the situation, also sharing the messages of the hundreds asking for help in the region. Millions of dollars, food, blankets, lifters, excavators donated. But the problem here is not resources, it's the transportation. Sometimes it takes at least 10 hours to take a road of 2 hours in a regular time to reach the affected area. And landing field of 3 airports have been damaged. And President Erdogan yesterday has declared state of emergency for these 10 cities. And since then, Twitter, today, the central platform that people under the rubble were tweeting from, a platform where on the ground people helping victims, writing that what is needed or what is not. And everybody who were mobilizing from has been restricted by the telecommunication agency of the government, hearing the disinformation flow from the area. And right now, people are tagging prominent VPN companies and begging for help to continue mobilization for help. And the fact that...
And it's just on that, what you were describing around the delays and how that's added to the desperation of this moment, I wonder if most people are still hopeful that those who are still believed to be buried beneath the rubble will be found alive 3 days on.
Yeah, I mean, I still see tweets on Twitter that is still showing the sign of life, but there are some spots and regions, there are some the counties in the region that no government official or no rescue team has arrived because of the transportation problem right now. Because the earthquake even hit the lands of the airport, the landing pists of the airport, and also some 20% of the logistic lines are cut off right now.
So how are they getting around those delays? Because aid is desperately needed.
They're using the ports. Also, some of the countries who are helping Turkey, for instance, Spain, and in other countries has sent aid by either plane or ship lines. And right now, at least 40 countries has helped. And really, the 40 countries at least flocking here to help. It just shows the strength of the people of the region. Yesterday, there was a footage where a plane carrying Israelis was next to Iranian one. And they were onwards to the same destination to save lives of the neighbors and the same, feeling sorrows. Israeli defense minister has ordered Israeli army to set up a field hospital near the epicenter of the quake. And there's already at least 30 team has arrived, including medics, seismic experts, and rescuers. And most of these are arriving to Mersin port or the airport of Adana, which is still active, reopened by the government.
All right. Stand by for us, Enis. Thank you very much for that. Let's go to Azhar Vadi. Bring him up. He's live for us from a border town in Syria. A very good evening to you, sir. So we were just talking about just the outpouring of support and aid for Turkey. Aid is arriving in Syria, but not at the same level, right? Azhar, can you hear me? I suspect we've lost Azhar Vadi, a correspondent we were hoping to speak to from the Syrian border. As you'd appreciate the situation there, connectivity is patchy in parts, not least as a result of the years-long civil war, but also recent events from Monday, twin earthquakes, both measuring at more than 7 on the Richter scale. We're showing you a live shot now of the ongoing operations there. Rescue is still hopeful that they may be able to retrieve more people who are alive, or retrieve bodies, I should say, from the rubble, but also still not giving up hope of finding people alive. We've heard from Ahmed Kajee, part of the Newzroom Afrika team, traveling with a gift of the givers. He's in Adana at the local airport where they've just arrived. Enis Aydin spoke to us from Istanbul in Turkey, where much of the relief operation domestically has been coordinated in the last few days. And unfortunately, we cannot speak to Azhar Vadi, a reporter who was joining us from the Syrian border. We will try to speak to him because the issue of Syria keeps coming up. Aid not coming in as fast as people would like it to, because the country is basically split in two at the moment, because you've got sections that are run by the government of President Bashar al-Assad, but some of these border towns that were affected by the twin earthquakes on Monday are basically run by rebels. There was a major civil war there from 2011, and it has continued in recent years. But as we sit tonight on Wednesday, we're looking at members of the military, community members as well as others who are still hopeful that they will find signs of life. And miraculously, we've seen scenes in the last while, including a baby found alive, still attached, sadly, to their deceased mother by the umbilical cord. That child tragically lost 4 siblings in this tragedy, and both parents. In some cases, we've seen reunions between a father and his child, and one little boy who appeared to have in fact slept through much of what happened on Monday. And when they reached him, still sleepy, he asked, "What is going on?" These are just some of the personal stories coming from an unimaginable tragedy that's unfolded in Turkey and Syria